Welcome, fourth grade to step number 3. So we are looking at what's called automatopoeia. Basically, the definition is using words that coincide with the sound that they make. So pop makes a noise that sounds a lot like the word. So these are some examples from some pop art or some comic book examples where you have boom and you have the cloud, you have pow with smoke kind of blowing out, and you'll notice bam with stars, like if you got hit in the head in a cartoon. You'll notice that these words are bold, they're bright, and then they have the primary colors or black and white around them. So what we're going to be doing today is adding our automatopoeia word to our can. All right. So here is the spelling of automatopoeia, and then the definition up here. And you'll have this sheet. So these are some words that I came up with that I thought would coincide or go along with noises that we might hear with a can. So maybe it's the person drinking going yum, slurp, pop, sip, gulp, fizz, bubble, crunch, as if you were crunching the can, and then ting. I thought ting might work with maybe the can going back to shape. Maybe you kind of crunched it while you were drinking it, and all of a sudden it goes back to shape, that noise. So feel free to think of your own that might work. Just make sure that you okay it with me so that we can get the spelling right, and it's something that goes along with the can. Right. So you'll have this. Please use that to help you out. And then what we need to do, so we have our background done. We have our can done. This is that one that we tore out. Okay. This is the one that we're going to draw on today. Okay. So we're going to take your art book and put that off to the side. Okay. And now we're going to pick one of these words to help us, or not to help us, but to put on the inside portion of the can. All right. So this word has to fit in the inside of the can. All right. Now I'm going to use a pen. You guys are going to use pencil. And the reason being is you can make as many mistakes as you want on this can. We want to make it the way that we want it so that we can slide it under this one and then copy it. Okay. So with mine, I think what I'm going to do is fizz. And so you're going to be adding a third background around the word on the can. So you want the word to be big enough that you can see it, but you also don't want it so big that you can't add that background. So with mine, this is my trick. For those of you that don't know how to write bubble letters, I'm going to write a normal letter, right? And then I'll show you the next step to make it into the bubble letter. So I write it first. I'm writing fizz, right? And then what I do is I'm going to outline that whole letter. Right? And do the same thing with this one. And then these two. And then if I was using a pencil, I could erase the inside. Okay, but it doesn't matter because when we trace it onto our drawing with the in the art book, we can just make sure we don't outline that. Okay, so I have fizz on here, and now I want to look at my picture. What I have to do is think of, and for those of you that kept this, or you can always check, I have to look. So I'm going to move this. I've used the cloud and I have used the spike. Okay. So I can use the oval, the circle, or either one of these up on the top to go around my word. Okay. Sometimes you might want to use one that goes along with it, but I don't want you to repeat if you don't have to. So if you want to repeat, just check in with me, but I'd rather you not repeat. All right, so I am going to use this one because this is not one that I have talked about much. So with this one, we're going to go around the word. And what I do is it's almost like you're making the top of a crown, but you got to keep moving around that shape. Now for this, I will let you add a second line if you want to make it almost like a border. All right. But you do not have to add the border. Just going back to the example, I put soda here because I wasn't sure how I was going to do the words originally. But you can see I did not add a border, a second border around this, so that doesn't matter. If you do a smaller shape than the word, that is also okay. So what I mean is my word fits inside of that shape, okay? But if you have a bigger word, maybe you did bubble or crunch, and you have a letter outside, that is okay. Just make sure that your shape doesn't go through the inside of your word, okay? So after I'm done with that, then I want to grab a marker. If I can't see it, some of you push very hard with your pencil and you can see all the lines. But I'm going to outline this. And this also tells me what lines I'm keeping, what lines I'm not keeping. Maybe I didn't like this shape and so I could erase it, but even though I can see my pencil lines, I'm just going to make another shape around it. That's fine. I would only trace then the shape that I like. For mine, I'm just going to, I've decided I don't want the second border. I more or less wanted to show you guys that you have that option. Okay, so I am done with that. So now I'm going to bring this in. I'm going to remove all this so that you guys aren't confused. And now I'm going to slide my practice one underneath. I'm going to line it up. It doesn't have to line up perfectly. It just needs to kind of be there so you can see it. One other thing, my font is very straight and has lots of pointy corners. If you're doing like bubbles, that might not, you might not want to have those point, you might want to make rounded. So think about what the word, what the sound, and what the actual thing looks like. And you can have a lot more fun with your fonts. So with mine, I could add a couple dots for the eye. Okay, and now that background shape. Again, I'm not saying that you can't use one that you've already used. I would rather you just try to use a different background shape, but if you want to use one you've already used, you can just get it checked by me first. Okay, so now I have my fizz word, and I am ready to go for next class when we start talking about the colors that we're going to be using. So Good luck, everyone.